6, commentary by Urmila Devidasi. I'll read a couple of lines to bring up to the speed and then we will continue. So much of our time is taken up with the responsibilities of family maintenance, but they don't take up all our time. So the balance of our time we can use for Krishna's service. We won't waste it watching television, talking prajalpa, and hanging out. We can invest that balance of our precious time when we are not earning a livelihood in devotional service. There is a strong case to be made for that approach. That's where we left. So we will continue. On the other hand, Prabhupada approved of book distribution as a business. It's a good business, he said. Best business. A full-time book distributor can keep aside some quota for personal and family maintenance. I think it is very essential for the brahmacharis because I have seen that they dedicate complete their life and actually who knows how they will treat when they in need. So they should keep some money for their personal. You can also use your occupation for serving. If you are an accountant, then do temple accounts. If you are a lawyer, help get documents registered. Whatever you are, a cook, cook for the deity, but not with the mentality of how much they will pay me. How much will I collect if I go to this engagement? How many hours do they want me to show? Can I make the same amount but do less? Maybe I can get a few more dollars per hour? None of that comes into considerations when you cover your own family expense separately. Taking payment for service to maintain your family can also create unhappy relations. For instance, the brahmacharis are giving selflessly of their time. They are bringing in money and you are spending it to maintain your household. Or the congregational householders are working hard and making money and give it to the temple. And it goes to you to maintain your family. How good are people going to feel about that? We also need to ask if this is how we want our temples to operate. Basically employ people to do service. Urmila Mataji strong. We are advised not to hear from professional bhajan singers. They are singing for money, not for the pleasure of the Lord. It's their profession, their way of earning a livelihood. And they cultivate a beautiful voice for public gratification. One can say these people are Vaishnavas, but that's not our standard of Vaishnava. Someone who doesn't really follow the principle of devotional service or practice, but is a great singer. Some of the most popular bhajan singers are based in Mumbai, and we know about them quite well. So we know that in their private life they are drinkers, womanizers, and so on. They don't follow the four regulatory principles, and ISKCON devotee is expected to follow. So we are advised that do not hear from a person who is not a Vaishnava. Apart from that, Devotees who listen to professional bhajan singers often start to sound like professional bhajan singers themselves. Instead of immersing themselves in the transcendental sound vibration sung by the pure devotee of the Lord, they immerse themselves in the beautiful music sung by the professional bhajan singers. But although fancy tricks with tunes and notes may turn the public on, that's not what pleases Krishna. So there is a passage in Jaiva Dharma about a spiritual aspirant who has had training in classical music. When he has been in the association of devotees for a while, he takes the opportunity to sing kirtan in beautiful classical style. All the devotees get turned off right away. What is this? Here is a guy with a professional background and technical training, but he doesn't have bhav. He doesn't reflect genuine devotion. His music reflects his cultivation of professional technique. And we see that a lot. Unfortunately, kirtan lacking devotion but overflowing with techniques. I was in some kirtan and the mridanga player was all beats. If there was a moment of space, it had to be filled with alankars, decorative sound vibration. There wasn't enough space in the kirtan for all the beats one can play. So the player had to fill in as many as possible. And I noted the difference between that kind of mridanga playing and the expert playing of Srila Prabhupada, God brother Krishna Das Babaji Maharaj. When Babaji Maharaj wanted to do something extra, he could do it. But for most of the kirtan, it would be boom, 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 simple, simple, simple. Because the thing he wanted to hear was the holy name. The mridanga was only to give a little shape or support to the holy name, not for a mridanga playing exhibitions. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur at the time of leaving this world wanted to hear Sri Rupa Manjari Pada sung by someone other than a big kirtaniya who was present. Sridhar Maharaj is there, let him sing. Sridhar Maharaj was not known as a silver voice kirtaniya, but the technique wasn't what was wanted. It was the feeling. I remember Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj, that some Maharaj used to carry some decimals meter, and he was showing me that look how loud the kirtan is. And that's why you see that every devotee at the later part of their age, they become deaf. They can't hear. But this is what it is. We have to play so soft. So we are reading from Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita, volume number 3, chapter title New Jagannath Puri. I will read one paragraph. Srila Prabhupada paused and uttered a thoughtful He remained silent. They also remained silent, watching him. He sat cross-legged on the black velvet pillow on the redwood dais. His hands were folded, his eyes closed, and he became overpowered by inner feeling of ecstasy. Although the simple devotees present could not know what was happening, They could see him enter a deep inward state. They could feel the atmosphere transform into awesome devotional stillness. And all these audience, they also kept their eyes fixed on him. That's where we stop. A minute and a half passed. Srila Prabhupada uttered another thoughtful and opened his eyes. They were filled with tears. He reached over and grasped his kartals, which rattled in his hand. But he moved no further. Again, he withdrew from the external consciousness. Another minute of silence passed. The minute seemed extremely calm, yet intense and long. Another minute passed. After almost 4 minutes, Prabhupada cleared his throat and struck the kartal together, beginning the slow rhythm. A devotee began the one note drawn on the harmonium. Prabhupada sang Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya, Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya, building the chanting to a lovely pace. After about 10 minutes, the kirtan stopped and Prabhupada left the room. As the devotees rose and began their various duties, some leaving out the front door behind Prabhupada and going to the kitchen, others coming together for conversations. They all knew that their spiritual master had been intensely feeling separation from Krishna. And they have no doubt that it was a deep ecstasy. Because just by being in his presence during that long and spatial stillness, they also had felt a glimmer of the same love for Krishna. On the invitation of his disciple, Srila Prabhupada agreed to hold a kirtan on the beach. On a Tuesday night, with no kirtan or lecture schedule in the temple, he got into the back seat of one of the devotees' cars. About a dozen initiated followers and a couple of dogs got into other cars, and together they traveled to the beach. When they arrived, some devotees went running across the beach, gathering driftwood and building a fire in the shelter of a sand dune. The late afternoon air was cool and there was a seaside wind. Prabhupada was dressed in a long checkered coat over a hooded sweatshirt. During the kirtan, he clapped and danced while the devotees joined hands, forming a circle around him. As the sun was setting, all the devotees faced the ocean, raising their arms and singing as loudly as they could. Hari Bol, but with the surf pounding it on the coat and with the great expanse of windy air around them, their kirtan sounded very small. Gathering around the fire, the devotees buried foil-wrapped potatoes and foil-wrapped apple filled with raisin and brown sugar under the coals. It was their idea, but Prabhupada was happy to comply with their idea of California Kirtan Fund. Haridas and Hayagriva had composed a song about the sage Narad Muni, and they sang it to Prabhupada. Do you know who is first eternal spaceman of this universe? The first to send his wild vibration to all those cosmic superstitions. For the song he always shouts, send the planets flipping out. But I will tell you before you think me loony that I'm talking about Narad Muni singing Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Prabhupada laughed. He liked anything that had chanting in it. And he asked them to compose more such songs for their countrymen. Walking together along the beach, they came upon an old, dilapidated Dutch windmill. Mukunda, Prabhupada said, you should approach the government and tell them that we will restore this windmill if they let us build a temple on this site. Mukunda took it as a joke at first, but then he saw that Prabhupada was completely serious. Mukunda said he would inquire about it. Prabhupada, in his oversized checkered coat, buttoned up to the neck, was the beloved center of the devotees' outing. After work, he sat with them on a big lawn, eating baked potatoes smeared with the melted butter. And when he finished, he threw his remnants to the dog. As the night grew dark, star appeared high over the ocean, and the devotees stood close around Prabhupada for a last kirtan. Then, just as in the temple, they bowed down and Prabhupada called out the prayers to the Lord and the disciplic succession. But he ended, quote, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the Pacific Ocean, unquote. They all laughed. Swamiji was doing what his disciple wanted, enjoying an evening kirtan, cook out at the beach with them, and they were doing what he wanted, chanting the Mahamantra, becoming devotee of Krishna, and becoming happy. Hayagriva sat facing Prabhupada, alone with Prabhupada in his room. A few days before, Hayagriva had shown Prabhupada a play about Lord Chaitanya he had found in the library, and Prabhupada had said it wasn't bona fide. So Prabhupada decided to prepare an outline for a bona fide play and have Hayagriva write it. Quote, I will give you the whole plot complete, unquote, Srila Prabhupada said. Then all you will have to do is execute it. Prabhupada was in a relaxed, jolly mood, intent on relating the event of Lord Chaitanya's life. He had prepared an outline of 23 scenes, and now he wanted to expand each one. Hayagriva had barely enough time to understand what Prabhupada was about to do, and almost no time to prepare himself for note-taking as Prabhupada began describing the first scene. First scene he began, quote, is that people are passing on the road with Sankirtan, just as we do. There is a very nice procession with Mudanga and Kartals and that bugle, and all the people are doing Sankirtan in the ordinary way. We have to make a nice procession. Quote, the second scene shows Kali as decorated blackish with royal dress and very ugly features. and his queen is another ugly future lady. So they are disturbed. They will talk among themselves that, quote, there is the Sankirtan movement now. So how shall we prosecute our business in this age of quarrel, Kali Yuga? In that scene, there will be in one corner 2 or 3 people drinking. The scene will be like that. The age of quarrel personified and his consort are sitting in the center. In one corner, someone is taking part in drinking, and in another part, somebody is illicitly talking of the lust and love with a woman. In another section, there is a slaughtering of a cow, and in another section, gambling. In this way, that scene should be adjusted. And in the middle, the ugly man, Kali, and the ugly woman will talk that we are now in danger. The Sankirtan movement has been started. What to do? In this way, you have to finish that scene. Then the third scene is very nice, Rasa dance. Hayagriva interrupted. He had some of his own ideas about what he called the dramatic point of view. I think, Hayagriva said, strongly articulating his words, quote, this can apply for the whole world in the sense that the names may be Indian, but I think the exhibition you describe of the assembly of Kali and his consort, scene and the exhibitions of illicit sex and the slaughterhouse can all be from Western prototypes. Srila Prabhupada said that he had no objections to Hayagriva's suggestion, but that he didn't want people to think he was singling out Westerners as if they were the only ones who committed illicit sex. Hayagriva was about to reply, but decided that this was no time to quibble. Swamiji was eager to go on describing the pastime of Lord Chaitanya. Prabhupada, quote, Ras dance means Krishna and Radharani in the center, and the gopis are surrounding. You have seen that surrounding scene when they were dancing with us the other day in the park, hand to hand. Hayagriva, yes, yes. Prabhupada, so one Krishna and one gopi. They are dancing and they should be the scene. Then the Ras dance should be stopped and Krishna will talk with the gopis. Krishna will say to the gopis that, my dear friend, you have come to me in the dead of nights. It is not very good, because it is the duty of every woman to please her husband. So what your husband will think if you come in such dead of nights, so please go back. So in this way, the gopis will reply that, quote, you cannot request us to go back, because with great difficulty and with great ecstasy, desire that we have come to you. And it is not your duty to ask us to go back. In this way, you arrange some talking that Krishna is asking them to go back, but they are insisting, no, let us continue our Rasa dance. Then, when the Rasa dance is finished, the gopis will go, and then Krishna will say, these gopis are my heart and soul. They are so sincere devotees that they do not care for family, encumbrances, or any bad name. They come to me So how shall I repay them? He was thinking, how shall I repay their aesthetic love? So he thought that I cannot repay them unless and until I take up their situation to understand me. But I myself cannot understand me. I have to take the position of the gopis, how they are loving me. So with that consideration, he took the form of Lord Chaitanya. Therefore, Krishna is blackish and the Lord Chaitanya is the color of the gopis. The whole life of Lord Chaitanya is the representations of the gopis' love toward Krishna. That should be painted in the picture of this scene. Do you have anything to ask? Hayagriva. This is his determination to incarnate as Lord Chaitanya? Prabhupada. Lord Chaitanya, yes. Hayagriva. In order to, Prabhupada, in order to appreciate Krishna in the form of a gopi, just like I have got dealing with you. So you have got your individuality and I have got my individuality. But if I want to study how you are so much obedient and loving to me, then I have to go to your position. It is very natural psychology. You have to paint in that way. So Prabhupada described and explained one story after another, and most of them new to Hayagriva. Hayagriva couldn't properly spell or even pronounce the names. He didn't know who Lord Chaitanya's mother was, or whether Nityanand was a devotee. And when Prabhupada told the story of Sirchor Gopinath, the deity who stole condensed milk for his devotees, Hayagriva got confused and thought Prabhupada had said the Lord Chaitanya has stolen the condensed milk. Prabhupada, no, you did not hear? Chaitanya, after seeing the deity, he was sitting and saying, and meantime, Nityanand Prabhu narrated the story, how the deity's name became Srirchor Gopinath. You do not follow me? Hayagriva groped. Nityananda? Prabhupada. Nityananda was going with Lord Chaitanya. Hayagriva. Nityananda was narrating this to Lord Chaitanya? Prabhupada. Yes. The deity was known as Srirchor Gopinath. The story. Prabhupada repeated for the third time. Was narrated that formally he stole one pot of condensed milk for his devotee. Hayagriva. Now, what direct relationship does this have to Lord Chaitanya? Prabhupada. Lord Chaitanya visited this temple. Anyone in those days going to Jagannath Puri from Bengal had to pass that way. And on the way, the Srirchor Gopinath temple is there. So everyone used to visit. Formally, Madhavendra Puri also visited, and for him the deity stole the condensed milk. From that time, the deity is known as Srirchor Gopinath. That story was narrated to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So while sitting before the deity, the story was narrated. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rallies that God is so kind that sometimes he steals for his devotees. This is the significance. So here the scene should be arranged that it is a very nice temple. The deity is within and Lord Chaitanya has entered while chanting Hare Krishna. And then He saw worship arti. These things are to be shown in this scene. And little story about him, that's all. When Prabhupada told of Lord Chaitanya's visit to Sakshi Gopal temple, Hayagriva again got lost. Do you follow? Prabhupada asked. No, Hayagriva chuckled. No. Eventually, Hayagriva stopped asking questions and interrupting, although he had very little knowledge of the identity or meaning of the character. As soon as he had heard a little about them, he had been trying to adjust and rearrange their activities from the dramatic point of view. Prabhupada had raised no objections to Hayagriva's inquiries. In fact, Prabhupada had invited them so that Hayagriva could understand how to present the play. Hayagriva, however, decided to first try to hear what Prabhupada was saying. I think we have reached the time, we should be punctual. Let's stop here, and before the devotees leave, we would like to offer our humble obeisances at the desk of the lotus feet of these wonderful Vaishnavas and Vaishnavas. Vanchakalpatarubhasya kripasindubhaivacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So thank you very much for joining, and hope everybody